Hello viewers, welcome to Newsweek South Asia, where we will provide you fresh insights into South Asia's geopolitical, strategic and security situation. Let's take a look at the headlines first. Sponsoring terrorism will have consequences. India warns Pakistan at UNSC. Balochistan erupts again as deadly train blast exposes deepening crisis in Pakistan. And Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir witnesses rising political tensions over rights and governance demands. India has once again called out Pakistan at the United Nations over its long record of sponsoring cross-border terrorism. At the UN Security Council debate in New York, India delivered a sharp warning to Islamabad, saying there will be consequences for terrorism directed against India. These remarks come amid growing global scrutiny of Pakistan's terror infrastructure, radical networks, and repeated attempts to internationalize Jammu and Kashmir at global platforms. A report.
India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Parvathaneni Harish, launched a blistering rebuttal against Pakistan during the UNSC open debate.
Independent India began its life battling with cross-border aggression by Pakistan.
Responding to Pakistan's remarks, the Indian envoy accused Islamabad of decades-long aggression, cross-border terrorism and fostering violent extremism across the region. Parvathaneni reminded the Security Council that Pakistan's hostility towards India dates back to partition itself, beginning with the aggression in Jammu and Kashmir immediately after independence. He said Pakistan's repeated wars, terror sponsorship and support to terrorist proxies expose what India calls Islamabad's double standards on peace and regional stability.
I am compelled to respond to baseless and unwarranted remarks made by Pakistan today. India would like to set the facts straight. Independent India began its life battling with cross-border aggression by Pakistan, which coveted Indian territories that had become a part of India as a result of their complete legal and irrevocable accession.
India's remarks come against the backdrop of decades of Pakistan-backed terror attacks that have claimed thousands of civilian and security personnel lives. From the 2001 Indian Parliament attack to the 2008 Mumbai attacks and 2016 Uri attack and the 2019 Pulwama suicide bombing, New Delhi has consistently accused Pakistan-based terror groups of orchestrating violence inside India. According to Indian security data, more than 40,000 people have been killed in terrorism-related violence in Jammu and Kashmir over the past 3 decades. Several internationally designated terror outfits, including Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, continue to operate from Pakistani soil despite repeated global pressure on Islamabad. India also highlighted Pakistan's long-standing military doctrine, often described as bleeding India by 1,000 cuts, a phrase associated with the use of proxy terror networks to destabilize India through low-intensity warfare.
Pakistan, by waging several wars and inflicting unprovoked aggression against India, and through its continued sponsorship of cross-border terrorism, has violated the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity and peaceful coexistence. The use of cross-border terrorism by Pakistan and its doctrine of bleeding India by 1,000 cuts exposes its hollow rhetoric and the rhetoric of commitment to the UN Charter. India has every right to defend itself from such cross-border terrorism.
India's warning at the United Nations also comes at a time when Pakistan is facing increasing international criticism over terror financing and radical networks. Islamabad remained on the Financial Action Task Force grey list for years before being removed in 2022 after intense scrutiny over terror funding mechanisms. Just days before this latest UNSC exchange, India had also slammed Pakistan during another UN debate after Islamabad attempted to raise the Kashmir issue. India responded by accusing Pakistan by hypocrisy and pointing to its road of cross-border terrorism and support to extremist violence.
Pakistan will have to accept that there are consequences to its sponsorship of cross-border terrorism. Pakistan's harnessing of the malevolent forces of terrorism, religious extremism, violent radicalism, and anti-India rhetoric has continued unabated since its creation. The facts in this regard are on public record and need no further elucidation.
India reiterated that terrorism remains one of the gravest threats to international peace and security and called for credible global action against states that shelter terror groups. New Delhi also renewed its demand for reforms within the United Nations Security Council, arguing that the institution must remain relevant in addressing modern security challenges, including state-sponsored terrorism. The latest confrontation at the UN once again underlines the deepening diplomatic divide between India and Pakistan, with New Delhi signaling that cross-border terrorism will continue to invite strong political, diplomatic and security responses.
Pakistan must credibly and irrevocably end its support for all forms of terrorism.
Pakistan's troubled province of Balochistan has once again witnessed deadly violence after a powerful blast targeted a shuttle train carrying Pakistani security personnel and their families in Quetta. The attack, claimed by the Balochistan Liberation Army, has reignited debate over Islamabad's handling of the restive province, where allegations of military repression, resource exploitation and enforced disappearances continue to fuel resentment among the Baloch people.
A powerful explosion ripped through a shuttle train near Chaman Fatak in Quetta, killing at least 24 people and injuring more than 70 others. According to Pakistani officials, the train was carrying passengers from Quetta cantonment to connect with the Jafar Express when the blast struck near a railway crossing. The explosion derailed the engine and multiple coaches, while nearby homes and vehicles were engulfed in flames. Images from the site showed twisted railway tracks, burnt vehicles, shattered buildings, and smoke rising across the densely populated neighborhood. The Baloch Liberation Army, or BLA, claimed responsibility for the attack, describing it as a suicide bombing targeting a train carrying Pakistani military personnel and their families heading home for Eid holidays.
बिल्कुल करीब था, ये पटरियों के पास ही था, बिल्कुल बस हमें खुद यकीन नहीं आ रहा कि हम कैसे बचे। बिल्कुल करीब था, 2-3 कदम पे सामने ही है, 2-3 कदम पे इतना बड़ा ब्लास्ट के पूरा हम लोग जल गए। तो शुक्र अल्लाह का हम बच गए।
ये हमारी गाड़ियों का हाल देखे, मेरी अपनी गाड़ी भी जली है, करोड़ों रुपए की गाड़ियाँ इधर खड़ी थी, वो जो बिल्कुल जल गई। हमारे इतने नुकसानात हुए।
The latest attack underscores the deteriorating security situation in Balochistan, a province that has remained in conflict with the Pakistani state for decades. Despite being rich in natural gas, coal, copper and other mineral reserves, Balochistan remains Pakistan's poorest region, with limited access to healthcare, education and basic infrastructure. Baloch have long accused Islamabad of exploiting the province's vast natural wealth while denying political rights and economic opportunities to local communities. Human rights organizations have repeatedly raised concerns over allegations of enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and military crackdowns in the province. Analysts say the unrest has intensified further under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, which many Baloch activists describe as a project benefiting Pakistan's political and military elite while marginalizing the indigenous population. The strategically important Gwadar port, once projected as a major economic hub, continues to face instability amid growing local anger over unemployment and displacement.
over a period of time, it became that the natural resources which were taken from there were not been compensated in terms of the infrastructure development of the region. So people started feeling more and more that they are being exploited, their resources are being exploited, and they started protesting or asking for more rights. The Pakistani state, instead of looking at it as an economic and a social issue, came down with a heavy hammer and its military went in and started to suppress any dissent. The people in Balochistan see the CPEC corridor and they see no benefits coming to them. They see portions of their country cut off for them because of security. They're not allowed to go near that perimeter of this, port yard or some security points or where the Chinese are staying. So they increasingly feel that they're being, pushed back within their own home grounds.
The Quetta train attack comes just months after the dramatic hijacking of the Jafar Express by BLA insurgents earlier this year, an incident that exposed serious vulnerabilities within Pakistan's security establishment. Meanwhile, violence has continued to spread across both Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where anti-state attacks have intensified against Pakistani security forces. Islamabad has repeatedly blamed external actors, including Afghanistan and India, for fueling the insurgency. However, critics argue that Pakistan's long-standing policies, heavy militarization and political suppression have deepened alienation among ethnic communities in the region.
Quetta is heavily militarized. Okay, and for this bombing to happen in the militarized area is a success of sorts for the militants. So it's a major strike a blow even to the prestige of the Pakistan army, that it could not prevent the killing of its soldiers. I think they were going on a holiday with their families and children, right? And secondly, before this strike also, there have been, I think about a month ago, a series of urban attacks across 12 cities or across 8 cities and 12 locations in Balochistan, which indicate a growing sophistication in terms of planning and execution. So this is the message that is going out there, that Pakistan, whatever it seems to be doing, is not being able to handle the situation. The insurgency, the dissatisfaction is growing by leaps and bounds.
For many Baloch activists and local communities, decades of political exclusion, resource exploitation, and alleged state repression have only deepened calls for greater autonomy and resistance against Islamabad's control. Analysts warn that unless the underlying grievances of the Baloch people are addressed through political engagement and accountability, the province is likely to remain trapped in a dangerous cycle of violence and instability.
India's counter-terror strategy has undergone a major transformation over the past decade, marked by a zero-tolerance approach, proactive military responses, stronger border security, and growing defense self-reliance. From the surgical strikes and Balakot airstrike to recent operations against terror infrastructure, New Delhi has sought to redefine its responses to cross-border terrorism. To discuss these developments, we are joined by SP Vaid, former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. Hello, sir. Welcome to Newsweek South Asia.
Thank
so
you.
my first question to you is, how has India's counter-terror doctrine evolved over the past decade under the zero-tolerance policy?
I think India's counter-terror policy of zero tolerance to terrorism is producing remarkable results in Jammu and Kashmir. It has changed the ground reality. Today, there is no stone pelting in Kashmir. There are no mobs. If you recall, about 10 years back, 2017-16, after post-Burhan Wani, how was the situation? Law and order was so bad. In one day there used to be 50 to 60 places where stone pelting used to take place, with mob of about 1,000 plus people in each place. So leading to injuries to so many CAPF and JNK police personnel. Today it's absolutely normal situation in the valley. In addition, people are going in their routine work, schools are opening, there's no band calls, there are no hartals.
How do you assess military responses such as the surgical strikes, the Balochistan airstrike, and Operation Sindoor in sending a strong message to terrorist groups and their sponsors?
Now the policy, the Prime Minister is very, very clear. It is not like Mumbai attack and then you go out and punish. So India, the response was very, very clear. So we hit on 7th of May, there are 9 terror camps, including the headquarters of Lashkar, Muridke, the headquarters of Jaish, Bhabalpur, headquarters of Hizbul Mujahideen. 9 terror camps were, I think we were able to kill more than 150 terrorists. And when Pakistan retaliated on 8th May, so on 9th we responded with BrahMos missile. We destroyed their 11, 12 air bases, and Pakistan could not, it came on its knees. It could not even respond to India's attack. So that was the condition, and it was begging US to intervene. So that is the effectiveness, the precision attack of India, the whole world witnessed, and without causing damage to the civilian population. I think India sent a very clear message.
In recent years, India has responded more swiftly to terror attacks. How do you view the government's role in enabling faster military and strategic responses?
See, India's policy is very, very clear that if you attack us, we will hit back. So our Prime Minister says we'll go inside, deep inside. No place in Pakistan will be untouched. India can reach any place in Pakistan. So that was the message. So I think we were able to hit 100 kilometers inside Pakistan. So that is the first time India did that and called off their nuclear bluff. And in whatever Pakistan attacked with missiles and drones made in China and made in Turkey, our air defense system of Akash Tir and other things was absolutely impregnable. So they were not able to cause any damage to India. So I think India's message is very, very clear. We will not tolerate terrorism if you and you can't go scot-free. Yes.
Compared to the past, how much stronger and more effective has India's border security infrastructure become today?
Border infrastructure has improved tremendously, and I think it's a very difficult terrain, let's admit that. International border is Jammu's, in JNK, Kathua, Samba and Jammu district, but LOC area includes Rajouri, Poonch and Kupwara, Handwara, Baramulla and Bandipur district. So these are tough terrains, lot of rivers, thick forests, lot of heavy snowfall takes place, even breaking of in the avalanche, breaking of the the fence itself. So in spite of all that, a lot of gadgets have been put. The infiltration have come down drastically, no doubt about it. But with a neighbor like Pakistan, whose policies, whose abode policies bleed India by 1,000 cuts and jihad and Ghazba-e-Hind, I think we need to be alert 24/7, 365 days.
Sir, how are indigenous weapon systems and defense technologies strengthening India's military preparedness and counter-terror capabilities?
There was a time when even for AK-47 rifles and ammunition, we were dependent on other countries. Today, we are not. We are manufacturing in India in lakhs. So, talking of big things, today India's, after Operation Sindoor, seeing the success of India's the Akash Tir and BrahMos missile, so many countries are demanding from India. India's air defense system, India's attack capabilities, whether it is Cyprus, whether it is Indonesia, Malaysia, many countries. So the internal production has increased manifold. Today we are not only producing within India and reducing our dependence on other countries, we are exporting to many countries. I think the export itself is 30,000-40,000 crores. So it will grow many more times. So things are changing drastically. This program of Atmanirbhar Bharat has succeeded very dramatically. Yes.
How has India balanced diplomatic pressure and military action in dealing with cross-border terrorism?
See, India is responding militarily, responding on the internal security front very effectively. I don't think any country has handled terrorism better than India. You talk of any country, even superpower like America, we have handled it very effectively. Whether it is in Jammu Kashmir or in Punjab or Northeast, but the diplomatic effort is also required, and I think India has of late become very offensive in countering Pakistan's propaganda, and that is what is required. You see very frequently in United Nations how Indian representatives take on the Pakistan and call their bluff, whether it is nuclear bluff or blackmail of the world. So I think India is combining both diplomatic effort and the internal security and armed response to Pakistan's terrorism very effectively.
Thank you so much for giving us your time, sir.
Thank you.
Political tensions continue to rise in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir as protests intensify over unmet promises, electricity shortages, and governance-related demands. The Joint Awami Action Committee has accused authorities of failing to fulfill subsidy assurances and provide relief to the public, while growing anger on the streets reflects deep frustration over worsening living conditions and continued administrative failures. We have a report.
The Joint Awami Action Committee has intensified its campaign against the administration in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, accusing authorities of betraying promises made to the public following earlier protest movements. Residents say assurances regarding subsidies on essential commodities, affordable electricity and economic relief have largely remained on paper. With inflation continuing to squeeze household incomes and frequent power outages disrupting daily life, frustration is steadily growing among ordinary citizens. Protesters argued that despite the territory's abundant hydropower resources, local communities continue to suffer from high electricity cost and inadequate public services. Addressing a public gathering, JAAC leaders called on residents to remain united and continue their movement until authorities implement the promises made to the people. The leadership accused pro-government elements of attempting to undermine the protest movement while ignoring the hardships faced by citizens. Demonstrators argued that they are repeatedly forced onto the streets to demand basic rights, including affordable electricity, price controls, and effective governance. The latest protests reflect a broader pattern of public discontent that has emerged across Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir in recent years. Many residents believe the region's political representatives have failed to effectively advocate for local interest, while key decisions continue to be driven by authorities in Islamabad. The continuing unrest highlights deeper structural grievances in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, where questions surrounding governance, political representation, and economic rights remain unresolved. Frequent protests over basic facilities and unfulfilled assurances reflect growing public frustration, while political tensions in the region continue to deepen amid demands for greater accountability and public relief.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We'll be back next week with more news, views, and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@anin.com. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on behalf of the entire team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.